Then Mr. Fouché would be next, and then Professor Verrett. So why don't we just proceed right down the line?
If you could pull the microphone up and turn it on, please. Thank you. I think so.
Yeah. Let me just, maybe just
How
for a
about
moment.
now?
We just yield for a second. I guess I need to probably talk about your background a little bit for the members of the committee. Ms. Jill Considine, who currently serves as chairwoman of the board of Fulcrum Group, a fund administrator for the hedge fund industry. In 2004, Ms. Considine ended her 6-year term as a member of the board of Federal Reserve Bank of New York, where she served as chairwoman of the Audit and Operational Risk Committee. We also have Mr. Chester Feldberg. Mr. Feldberg served for 9 years as senior official at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. He served as chairman of Barclays, Americas from 2000 to 2008. Mr. Douglas Fouché is currently CEO of El Paso Corporation, a natural gas producer. Mr. Fouché served as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer for Halliburton Corporation prior to joining El Paso in 2003. Mr. Fouché also serves as Chairman of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas, Houston branch. Our final witness is Professor J.W. Verrett, a senior scholar at the Mercatus Center at George Mason University. Professor Verrett will share his concerns about the AIG Trust Agreement. So with that, we can move forward. Mr.
Chairman
Feldberg.
Towns, Ranking Member Issa, and members of the committee, my name is Chet Feldberg, and I'm a trustee of the AIG Credit Facility Trust. I'm appearing today with Jill Considine and Doug Fouché, my fellow trustees, at the request of the committee in connection with its hearing on the collapse and federal rescue of AIG. We've submitted a joint written statement which speaks for all of us. As trustees, we operate collectively. While each of us will make brief oral statements addressing different aspects of our work, I would stress the collaborative nature of our efforts and of our decision-making process. I was going to comment next on my background and experience, but the chairman has covered that, so I will move forward. The chairman's letter to each of us posed the question, is the U.S. taxpayer investment in AIG being properly protected? This is the critical question. It motivates all of our deliberations and all of our actions. Let me now turn to the background of the trust arrangement. The trust was established by the New York Fed for the purpose of acquiring, holding, and ultimately disposing of approximately 77.9% of the voting stock of AIG. Under the terms of the trust agreement, we, the trustees, are charged with exercising the voting rights of the AIG shares held in the trust in the best interests of the U.S. Treasury and with a view toward maximizing the value of that stock. As we understand it, the rationale for establishing a trust arrangement administered by independent trustees was concerned by the Fed and the Treasury regarding potential conflicts of interest if the controlling interest was held by either governmental entity. Each of us was contacted last fall by representatives of the New York Fed and asked to serve as a trustee of the proposed trust. After much reflection, each of us ultimately decided to accept this challenging responsibility. On January 16, 2009, we were appointed as trustees by the New York Fed and entered into the trust agreement, which we are attaching as part of our written testimony. We immediately began organizational work and educating ourselves about the task that lay ahead. But it was not until March 4th that AIG issued stock to the trust and we commenced our formal responsibilities as trustees. Since then, we've been impressed with the extraordinary challenges we face in exercising our responsibilities. In fact, many of the factors relevant to whether the value of the taxpayer's stock can be maximized are not within our control. Such factors include what the market and the economy will look like when company assets are sold or restructured, what decisions the Federal Reserve or the Treasury will make concerning ongoing financial assistance to the company, what constraints will be imposed by new legislation or regulation on the company's ability to attract or retain the people needed to keep the company running and effectively implement the restructuring plan, and finally, whether continuing adverse publicity will affect the company's ability to maintain the value of its businesses. Each of these factors, individually or in combination, will have great influence on the ultimate value of the enterprise, and no one can confidently predict the final outcome at this time. The trustees are committed to seeing through the next chapter in the company's history in the best interests of the Treasury and the taxpayers of this nation. We're under no illusions that our task will be easy. Indeed, it may be the most challenging task any of us has undertaken in our professional careers. In carrying out our role, we will be guided by our independent assessment and judgment as to what course of action will best protect the interests of the beneficial owners of the trust, the U.S. Treasury, and the U.S. taxpayer. We know that to be successful, we'll need the ongoing support of the Congress, the administration, and the Federal Reserve. In the end, we are all working toward the same goal. I appreciate the opportunity to appear before this committee. My colleague, Jill Considine, will now explain our duties and limitations under the trust agreement in more detail. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Considine, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Chairman, ranking